Hello, this is Virgil Labrador, Editor-in-Chief of Satellite Markets and Research, and we're here at the Satellite 2025 in Washington, D.C. with Martijn Blanken. He's the CEO of a new satellite operator, the NEO Space Group, based in Saudi Arabia. So here to talk about his company is Martijn. So Martijn, welcome to this videocast.
Thank you, Virgil. Thank you for having me.
Well, Martijn, you're one of the new kids on the block as far as satellite operators are concerned. You were just formed last year in May. So talk about your company and your product lines and your plans for the future.
There's a lot to say. The NEO Space Group is one of the portfolio companies of PIF, which is the sovereign wealth fund of Saudi Arabia. And we are positioned as the national space champion in the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, but also set up to become a leader in the industry by the end of this decade. And what they've done is they looked extensively at the market and where the opportunities lie, and also where the needs of the various players in the kingdom are. And our job is to address it both in the geospatial domain as well as in the satellite communications domain and in the P&T domain. So those are the three business areas where we'll be focusing on.
Uh-huh. So what your product lines are? You're doing geospatial?
Correct.
And what else?
Geospatial, satellite communications, and P&T, position, navigation, and timing. The latter is still sort of on the drawing board. We haven't launched anything. In geospatial and in satcoms, we actually have businesses up and running as we speak. Mm-hmm. We both focus on the downstream activities, which means in Satcom you provide services to end customers. We've started with the aviation market, where we provide in-flight communication services to airlines, high-speed internet to these to the passengers of these carriers. In geospatial, also downstream, focus on processing a large amount of geospatial data, run algorithms over it, and provide insights to end customers.
Yeah. So how do you propose to provide those services? Are you going to operate your own satellites? You'll be leasing other satellites? What's the,
Yeah, that's a good question. So we will do a combination of both. So if you look at the geospatial business, we currently have approximately 600 people there already working in that domain. A vast majority here in the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, and some of it will be in Germany, where we have announced an acquisition of a company called Up42. We have agreed to buy that company from Airbus, and they will use whatever satellite images are available on the market and interact with, link the platform into these various operators. But over time, it is the idea that we will start to operate some of these satellites ourselves as well. Right. The same would be true in satellite communications. There is one satellite that is already in orbit, a geostationary satellite called SGS-1, which is a satellite that NSG will operate and commercialize. It has been
fully operating that? That's owned by the Saudi government, right?
Correct, yes. And we are going to fully operate.
You're fully operating that satellite for the Saudi government.
For the Saudi government, as well as the commercial market. For instance, our aviation customers will use the connectivity partially from SGS-1, as well as other carriers as well.
Now, as far as regions, are you focusing on the Middle East, North Africa, or you plan to go global?
We plan to go multi-regional, potentially even global. You know how it works in the satellite space. If you have assets, they tend to cover multiple countries, and in order to get a good utilization of these assets, you need to be active in multiple geographies. But obviously, the focus initially is in the Middle East. If you can't justify your existence in your home theater, if you will, then it's going to be difficult to justify it outside. But if you look at our in-flight communication business, we've announced contracts with Thai Airways and Turkish Airlines, which and also we have some other Asian and European airlines already committed to our services, which means that we tend to operate well outside of the Middle East.
So we've talked about your services and the regions you're covering, and I understand you also have a multi-orbit strategy.
Correct.
So talk a little bit about that. How do you plan to go
well,
about
look,
that?
I think we are no different from any other satellite operator. I don't think there will be very many people who are convinced that you can sort of cover all use cases with just one orbit. So geostationary is obviously the first to go. If you look at our in-flight communication, we have entered the Open Orbit Alliance, sort of which is chaired, if you will, by SES, who also use their O3B and soon Empower satellites in there. That's a MEO play. And we're actively considering various options to use some LEO capacity as well, either as a reseller of that capacity, but there is also scenarios where we could potentially be a co-investor in a LEO constellation for SATCOMs, but obviously also for Earth observation. So all these options are on the table.
Right. So right now you have one satellite
Correct.
that you're operating, SGS-1. So what else can we expect from you? In the
Well, there will be very likely an SGS-2 in the not too distant future. And you will see that hopefully some announcements in 5G NTN. We're watching that market quite closely as well. Mostly in the IoT area. You might see us entering other verticals besides aviation. For instance, in the oil and gas industry, which obviously is quite relevant to the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. And in the geospatial world, you might see us expanding our sort of downstream services, our service providing activities outside of the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia as well. So there are a few sort of pans on the fire.
Right.
Let's see.
Well, like any, well, I wouldn't call you a startup since you know you're full of experienced people and you're already well set up right now.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's a lot of things to work through and.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Well, anything else you want to add, there, Martin?
No, I think we covered the essence.
Yeah, I think that gives us at least an initial overview. This is a company that we will be watching very closely. And for all the news and information in the global satellite industry, always have Satellite Markets and Research at www.satellitemarkets.com.